What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna go over training plugs, right? That's this little bitty buggy right here. It's a little piece of rubber, or sometimes it'll be plastic. Sometimes when you buy the kiddie poles, they'll come with them. Like Carlitos used to actually have a SpongeBob fishing pole, and his little training plug was actually plankton. It's pretty cool. Let's see if I can put a picture of it up here or up here. And I started him off early. He was maybe a year. No, he's about 2 years old. I take that back a year old. He couldn't even walk. He's 2 years old whenever I first had him with his old fishing pole when he was practicing himself and stuff. I apologize for being dressed the way I am. I'm just getting off of work. I did have to change my shoes. Wearing those steel toe boots all day long, it's killer. So you might be wondering what I'm rocking, right? You're like, what could be more comfortable than steel toe boots? Check it out. Bam! You see that? Look at those. What's up? Those are my Crocs. And in case you're wondering, and before somebody calls me on it, look. Bam! Socks inside out. What? Now you're like, hey, hold up. How come he's got his socks inside out? What's wrong with this dude? Doesn't that do laundry or something? No, I do laundry. The thing is, that seam that's on the top of the socks, it bothers the crap out of the top of my toes, right? So one day I was like, you know what? Let me flip them inside out. And so I flipped them inside out, and it feels so much more comfortable. I promise you. So in case you guys are like looking at it, like, wait a minute, how come I can see orange through his Crocs? That's why. So my wife made fun of me one time. She was like, why are you wearing your socks inside out? It looks weird. Okay, yeah, it does look weird. But she tried it, and guess what? Now she wears her socks inside out too. So I got my jacket on because it's kind of chilly out here. I'm gonna put you on a tripod real quick. I'll grab the pole. We'll get this plug tied up, and I'll show you how to do that too. And then we'll just start practicing, chunking it out there and getting our cast down, okay? So give me 1 second, I'll get you set up. Okay, so here we are. So we have our rod and reel that we purchased right at Academy. So we're gonna go ahead and string it up, put our plug on it, and I'll show you kind of what you have to do. So again, push the button in the back, right? Push it and let it go. Hear that click? It's gonna let your line out, okay? So like I said, I use scissors. It makes it so much easier. Fingernail clippers, those work too. You could just bite it. I mean, if you're using this real thin monofilament, you could just bite it. You don't need nothing special to do it. Plus, it kind of doubles as dental floss if you're out there and you got something stuck in your tooth. So anyway, so you run it through. So once you get enough line out, like I said, click it. I always tell the kids to click it. For some reason, that registers really good for them. And they're like, okay, I know what it means. If you tell them just to go ahead and lock your line or whatever, they're not going to know what you're talking about. So let's see, I'm gonna have to scoot up close. Hopefully you can get it. So Palomar knot, right? Remember that one? Make a big old loop right there. You get that loop. Sometimes I'll pinch it like this, and it makes it kind of, I don't know if you can see it. It kind of makes it less rounded, more pointed, so you can thread it through the hole. So there we go, right? There's our loop, and I'll see if I can move my hand there. See our loop? We're like that. And then you're gonna do like you're gonna tie a knot. Bring it through like this. It's windy out here. Like that. You put your fingers through there, pull it through, and then tighten it up. That's all it is. That's your Palomar. Like I said, scissors, whatever. Doesn't matter. So there we go. Now we got our training plug. You see that? We're good to go. Okay, so let's turn around. So what you're gonna do, if you can see it, and I put that bucket out there, it's maybe a good 20-30 feet out there. Just something to aim at. So when you're out there fishing, kids starting off, they're gonna look, let me show you. They're gonna be doing this number right here. So this is what I was telling you about having kids when you go fishing with them. If they have that thing down there like this, they're gonna be swinging doing this number, right? They're all over the place. So don't expect them to be able to throw it good the first time. That's why I said go ahead and get them a rod and reel now. Let them play at home. Carlitos, when we got him his, that little SpongeBob rod and reel that I was telling you about, he'd be in the house just chunking it. And since it's rubber, it's not going to hurt nothing. I mean, yeah, you knock glasses over, it's going to break something. But he just like, especially like down the hallway, just have him aim at something. Throw a toy on the ground and say, hey, see if you can hit it, make it fun. And that's how they learn. They're having fun. They're having a blast throwing crap in the house, of course. But they're learning, right? That's how they do it. So by the time you get out there to the water, it's not brand new to them. They're like, how do I hold this thing? What do you mean click it? What do you mean push the button? I don't understand. So get them playing with it at first. You know, it don't take nothing to come out here and just have them throw it. Like I said, in the house, depending on how big your house is, right? Just have them throw it in the house. Just aim at something and chunk it. So this is what I was talking about, right? So remember when we were talking about having like a baseball in your hand? And then when you throw that ball, you don't open your hand too early, right? Because it'll go straight up. You don't keep your hand closed for a long time because it'll go straight down. Same thing with this. This is like your hand. Picture opening your hand. You push that button. Let's do it this way. You push the button. Nothing's going to happen until you let it go. Once you let it go, boom, it spools out, right? So what I'll tell the kids is I'll tell them to go ahead and push the button, hold it, and then I'll tell them to go ahead and cast it, right? Swing it out. And what I'll tell them when they cast it, I'll say, let it go. So I'll say, okay, push the button, ready, let it go. And then boom, there it goes. I don't even know. There, hopefully it showed up. So I'll tell them like that, and then of course to click it. So you keep telling them to do it like that, right? Oh, I got a fish. Woo, you see that? Kidding. It's weeds. Forgive the weeds. Man, these weeds came up so quick. Look at that. Within the past week or so, it was like, God dang, I haven't done anything. Since I hurt my back a couple weeks ago, I ain't done nothing. I got all my Christmas ornaments still in the garage, just hanging out, marinating. I can't go in the garage and pull them up there. It'll hurt my back. And I'm about 80% now, but anyways, whatever. So yeah, so forgive the weeds. I'll get them sprayed here soon and get it cleaned up. But like I said, tell them to push the button, push and hold it, right? And then cast it and let it go. So depending on where you let it go is going to dictate where that thing goes. So there's two things that you have to keep in mind when you let the button go and how hard they're swinging that pole. You can swing it as hard as you want to. If you let that joker go when, I don't know if it's on camera, when you're like right here, it's going straight up in the air. That's it. It's not going anywhere. It'll probably hit you in the head. If you let it go too late, no matter how hard you swing it, guess what? It's going right there by your feet. So it's kind of a balance, right? Let it go at the right time. And as far as swinging it with the kids, I mean, the places I'm going to take you guys to fish, you're not going to be throwing it far. I mean, you're literally probably going to be throwing it as far as that bucket, you know? So that's why I said just practicing at home is going to be fine for what they're going to be doing. And the aiming thing is important because these fish, they like cover. So you want to aim for where they're biting. So the reason why I say that is you'll kind of like cast out every once in a while to different areas. So different areas, like let's say over here, over here, over here, over here. But then two, in this same area, you'll cast out 20 feet and then 15 feet and then 10 feet and then 5 feet. Because it could be anywhere in here that they're hiding. So what I'll do, because the kids get real impatient, they'll throw it out there and they're like, they want to fish now. How come I'm not getting any fish? So they love to reel. And if you're fish floating, you know, you don't reel it. You just throw it out there and you let it sit. So what I would do with them, I'll say, go ahead, throw it out there, right? Boom. So we throw it out there and it's sitting 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The kids are getting bored, right? So I'll tell them, okay, go ahead and reel it in a little bit. So I'll let them reel it in a few feet, right? And let it sit. Okay, cool. See if there's any bites. So it's keeping them busy because they're actually reeling stuff in, but then you're actually like paying attention to what's happening, right? Because is it, okay, the fish are actually biting 10 feet away from me and not 20 feet? Or are they biting 20 feet every single time that I throw it in that one area? So you're kind of plotting where these fish are biting or where they're taking nibbles at, so that way you know where to throw it. And then with the kids, if they're throwing for that bucket, whenever you go out there, you could tell them, look, okay, go ahead and aim, you know, towards that stick. Throw it about 15 feet out, you know, and that's where they'll do it. And if they overthrow it, that's fine, right? Let's say I'm aiming for that bucket right there, boom, right? Okay, I overthrew it. Okay, I'm gonna reel it in until I get to that spot or close to it, right? And then just let it sit. Not a big deal. But like I said, the training plugs, I've seen them. This one's plain. Like I said, the one that Carlitos had was the SpongeBob, the plankton. I've seen, when we were kids, we didn't have like fancy training plugs. We used lead weights, like the actual fishing weights like that are this big. I'm over here, you know, a teenager, and I'm chunking lead, you know, down the street on the concrete. I mean, it'll kind of ding up your lead and stuff, but it still gets you practice. Now you got to be careful because if your neighbors see you chunking lead weights, watch out for the cars, right? Don't hit anybody. But other than that, like I said, with these little training things, that's all you need to get these kids, you know, out there, you know, at least playing around, right? They're not on their phones, they're not on their video games. They're out there having fun and learning. You know, it might not be learning to them at the time, but as they start working on that aim and where they're going to be, you know, throwing that line, it'll help you out when you get on that water. So, fishing with kids. Remember I told you, oh gracious. So usually, and I'll put a float on here in a second so you can see with the hook. So right there, I'm about maybe a foot right from the tip of my rod to that plug. So if you have a rod this long, right, it's not that big of a deal if the kids all freaking going crazy like nunchucks and swinging it. They're gonna have fun. Sometimes they don't even pay attention, and they'll do this number, and god dang it, I kid you not, I've gotten hooked before on my clothes, you know, thankfully. But they'll hook something. But then if you think about it, if I'm fishing, oh, depth too, right? If I'm fishing, if I'm in an area and I'm only getting a little bit of bites a foot down, try going 2 feet down, right? And then maybe 3 feet down. So, you know, sooner or later, you're going to find out where in that column of water that those fish are hanging out at. So if you find that they're at 4 feet, let's say this is 4 feet. So now you got this thing swinging like crazy. So yeah, if the kids are sitting here swinging it, bam, hopefully, okay, cool, I didn't hit myself. You don't want that much line just hanging out there. If that's where the hook, you don't want the hook just flinging out all over the goddamn place. Especially with little kids, and especially if you have more than one kid. Oh God, that's scary. Especially when I took Carlitos and Marisa fishing, you got to space them out. So you figure if I got 5 foot of line, they're 10 feet apart, just cause you don't want to take a chance of them getting hooked. But this is why I say that slip bobber makes a big difference, right? So if I found that fish is 5 feet deep, now I got 5 feet of line hanging out there that I'm chunking like this because my float's way up here. If you have a slip bobber, you're gonna have that bobber stop. Remember that little green thing? You're gonna have that bobber stop right here at 5 feet, right? But then whenever you reel it in, now that bobber stop is coming up your reel guides. Now that bobber stop is over here, and guess what? There's your hook. So now instead of 5 feet of line and the hook hanging down, now I only got 1 foot. So there's no way this thing's gonna hit me, right? Fingers crossed. Woo! Look, it didn't hit me. So no matter what, this isn't gonna hit me because look, it's not long enough. But if you had that joker at 5 feet, yeah, guess what? You're gonna get hit with that thing. So let me throw the float on there and the hook and kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, be right back. All right, so we got the rod. I went ahead and cut the training plug off of it, right? So, and don't do this. Even though I'm doing it, don't do it. So I have the hook that was in the that starter kit. We have the hook. We have the little bitty split shot. And then we have the little float. So we're going to put these on real quick. So since these have the hooks on the top and bottom, we don't have to put them on first. Same thing with the split shot. We can put that at the very end. So again, don't do this at home. I'm a trained professional. Click it. Once we click it, we're going to pull out some line. And whenever you put your pole down, especially if you're doing something like this, don't put it to where it'll fall. I've had it fall before. And when it does, if there's a hook in your hand, when it does it, it'll pull it. And I have hooked myself doing that. Like if I'm over here and I'm struggling and I'm doing this number right here, or if it's on a chair and it falls, and it's gonna pull whatever's in here, right? And if that hook's in there and it's on my hand, it's gonna get you. So try to keep your pole where it's not gonna fall, right? It's right there in the bushes, it ain't going anywhere. So again, now for this one, Palomar knot, remember you folded it in half and then you push it through the hole? This one, that hole is way too small for Palomar. So we're gonna do the other one, the improved clinch knot. So I'm gonna go through there. I'm just gonna do it 3 times because we're not fishing for fish. We're just tying it to hold it. 3 times around, back through this hole, back through that hole, pull it tight. Boom, there it is. And you will get to that point where you tie them that quick, just because when you have kids, you're always tying them. Carlitos is back over there doing some stuff in the garage. I don't know if he's listening or not. So we have our hook at the very bottom. 6 inches or so is where I like to put the split shot. So, and like I said in my other video, when I do my split shots, I wrap it around the split shot, like the back of it, to keep it from sliding. But we're not throwing it anywhere, so I'm not worried about it right now. So again, you're going to take your needle nose or whatever you're using, pliers, right? So there it is there. You're going to just squeeze it closed. It's going to pinch onto the line. So we're good there. So now we have our hook, we have our float. I'm sorry, not the float. We have our weight. And then so now wherever you put this float is going to dictate how deep you're fishing. So if I have that hook, that float right here, I'm fishing from here to here deep. 12 inches, right? So let's do 12 inches. So again, like I said, put your thumb on the back of it, push it, hook the line on the bottom, right? We're not going to leave it like that, but we hit the bottom first. On the top, push it down, and then hook it there. Now we're solid. Now it's not going anywhere. So we're looking at from that float to your hook. That's how deep you are. Man, that's probably closer to maybe 16 inches or whatever. So that's why I said whenever you're with the kids, pay attention to how long that line is, because you're not going to be able to see my hook, but maybe you can, hopefully. So if the kids are casting it, you don't want them to reel it in all the way. They'll do it a lot. They'll reel it all the way in like this, and you're like, no, don't do that. So tell them to click it, let a little bit of line out, at least to right here. I mean, right there is fine. So whenever they're swinging it, like I said, that hook is far enough out there, they're not going to hook themselves, right? That's the most important thing, because you can dictate how far apart they are so they don't hook somebody else, or how far you are. So like I said, this isn't a problem. They're not going to hook themselves doing it. The only way they would is if they ended up letting the button go too early and it goes straight up and then back down. So now, okay, cool. So now we're finding that fish is, guess what? Now that fish is 5 feet deep. So now we're going to adjust it. So when you adjust it, you don't have to take out the whole thing. So just push it, undo the top hook. And so we just have the bottom hook right there, right? And then just slide it. So let's say, oh my goodness, all those fish are at 5 feet. You know, we're going to get them all. We're going to go to 5 feet now. So now we're going to hook that top one again, right? Boom, there's my top. So now, and this is the thing about these bobbers that peg on the line. So now I'm going to hold my hook so you can see where it's at. So there's my hook. And then there's my float. I'm a good 5 feet deep now. But look, as soon as I reel it in, that's as high as I can go. Now I got, like I said, 5 feet of line just hanging out. You know, there's a worm or whatever you have on there too, but it'll still hook you. So now you got this hook that you're flinging around. Usually starting off, you might not be fishing 1 or 2 feet deep or whatever, and that's fine, whatever. But still, it's the concept behind it is what kind of, I don't want to say scares me, but if I can avoid it, especially with the kids, I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to show you how I was doing it with the slip bobber. The other way that I was telling you that I completely recommend, especially for kids or even for yourself, they're just so much easier because you don't have a whole bunch of line just hanging out there, that can possibly get tangled. Because if you have line like this out there and you're slinging it hard, or it's just all over the place, you have more likelihood of getting tangled up, in my opinion. So let me take this off. I'll put the other float on there with the slip bobber, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Give me a second. Okay, my neighbor just pulled out his motorcycle, so I'm gonna see if I can get this done real quick before he comes back. That thing is loud. So, bobber stop. Remember that? A little green line with a little black piece of straw going through the middle of it. So this you have to do in order. I kid you not. I've done it so many times where I'm not paying attention. I'm in a rush. I want to throw that line out there so fast. I do it backwards, and you get everything tied up, and you're like, God dang it! The bead is above the knot. Blah blah blah. So there's a way to do it, right? So you do the bobber stop first. So like I said, you put it on, and then these are in the other videos how to do it. I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time. Push it off. Let go of the black piece of plastic, and then tighten it up. Right? Once it's tightened up, take your trusty scissors. This you cannot use your teeth for. Trim off a little bit of it on one side, and the other side do the same. So boom, there's our bobber stop. Right? Now it's on our line. Excuse the sniffling. It's cold out here. Cold for Texas weather, right? So now it's our bobber stop, so we can slide that up and down. After you have that on, then comes the bead. As if by magic, poof, I got my bead. So again, this is the red one. Color doesn't matter. Size sometimes matters, but not so much. So boom, it's on there. I don't see him coming yet. The float. So this is the slip bobber. One side has a bigger hole than the other one. The small hole goes towards the top. So we're gonna put that on there like that. Thread that on, and then I don't think the hook was showing up in that last one that I did, so I'm going to use just a bell weight just so you can at least see the end of it, right? So, and this is the Palomar because I can fit the loop through the hole. Okay, loop it, tie the knot, pull it through. Come on, fingers. Pull it through. Bam, there it is, and then cut it. So let's pretend that is my hook. So now you're not looking at the float because the float's down here. You're looking at the bobber stop. So from the bobber stop to your hook is how deep you are. So, and what you would do like I said, that bobber stop can go up through the reel guides. Boom, you see that? It's up through the reel, and it doesn't bother it. So now look how much line I have. I have the hook at the bottom and my float. That's all I need. So now instead of a foot hanging down, now I got 6 inches, 4 inches or whatever. So it's not that big of a difference when you're fishing shallow, right? But let's say, bam, we're getting a monster the monster bluegill, right? So now I want to go 5 feet. I'm gonna slide. I'm basically just sliding that knot up my line. So there it is right there, right? You have all this line now. So if you look at it, there's the bobber stop. Here's my hook down here. So now my hook is 5 feet deep. Now when I reel it in, you see that bobber stop coming through my reel guides? Look at my float. So there's my float. Boom, it's right there. So there's my bobber stop. I'm fishing 5 feet deep, even though I only have, heck, I can even go to there, 4 inches hanging down. There's my hook. So again, they're not going to hit nothing. They're not going to hit anybody. So you're like, well, how does that work then if your bobber stop is over here but your float's down there? So what happens is you throw it out there, right? So once it hits the water, your weight and your hook are going to go to the bottom, right? What happens is, since this is loose, it can travel up and down the line like nothing, right? It just slides up and down. Slip, hello, slip bobber. What'll happen is, because of that buoyancy of that float, it's going to start floating up as that weight goes down until it hits that bobber stop. Now the bead is going to hit it first, and then the float hits that bead. So you can't just do the bead by itself, and you can't just do the bobber stop by itself, because sometimes the holes that are in these are too big and they'll just slide through. So again, you'll throw it, and then as that weight goes down, that float's going to stay in one spot because it's going to stay at the top of the water. Once it hits that bobber stop, pow, now you're 5 feet deep. So really, it's a lot easier, man, especially with the kids. You don't have a whole crap load of line just hanging out. Like I said, boom, I'm 5. You can go 10 feet, whatever. However, wherever you put that knot is how deep you're going to be. So, and like I said, bam, you know, watch the cars. Now there's my float, right? I wouldn't throw the floats out there. They're styrofoam, they're plastic, they'll break. They're balsa wood. But I mean, and you can even see it. You know, you can see where your bobber stop is at, and you'll see it when you throw it in the water. You'll see that bobber stop start going towards the line until it stops, which means it's reached, you know, the bead. And like I said, it just comes up here. So go ahead and invest another couple dollars, buy the bobber stops and buy the slip. These are the cheap ones. The balsa wood are the ones that I showed you before, and the other one, those are really nice. Those are my favorite. These are cheap. So like I said, $1.50 for this, and maybe a couple bucks for the floats. And now you're fishing safe. Now you don't have to worry about the kids, you know, hooking themselves or or hooking somebody else. You're out there having fun. And I promise you, if you're out there fishing with the kids, or even just yourself, if you're not having to worry about hooking yourself or them hooking each other, it makes a big difference, because you can actually just focus on having fun. So I hope you like this video. The next one I'm gonna do, I was gonna do one on worms, but I'll put the worm video at the front of the fishing. We'll do it in one whole video. We'll go fishing, and like I said, I appreciate you guys, you know, waiting with me and going through all these videos. And it's like, when's he gonna go fishing? Does he even know how to fish? Yes, I do. So the next video we'll go fishing. Like I said, I'm not catching monster catfish or bass. We're just catching fish just to catch fish. So please like my video if you can, real quick. Click. Subscribe, hit that bell notification. If you have any comments, any feedback, leave them down below. And with that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.